He's an introvert, interviewing strangers from the internet, knocking down the walls of his comfort zone, one conversation at a time. This is the Gary Cantrell Podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? We're back here for another week, another podcast, and this week it's a face-to-face. It's going to be really awesome. I want to introduce you very quickly to my new friend Michelle. Say hello.
Hey guys.
That's all you get for now. For the moment, I need to throw it back to the studio. Editor Gary's got a few words that he needs to share with you, some very important words, and then we'll be right back.
That's right. Gary here, or is it Editing Gary in the studio? Before we get to this awesome podcast with Michelle, I want to tell you about the Patreon podcast producers, and they are Caitlin at Caitlin Elise, put 3 Y's in her name, 3 times is awesome. Vanessa at Vanessa Ray's Journey, Amanda at Mutts_and_Miles, and Morgan at DDPY Mama. These awesome people helping out the show. If you want to join this group, it's really easy. All you got to do is head over to patreon.com/Gary Cantrell. I'm going to give you this podcast 5 days early. Here's the thing. You're probably listening to this right now on a Wednesday. Well, every Friday, members of the Patreon are getting next week's show. So they're getting to hear it 5 days before anybody else. All the ads, the plugs, all removed. And it's a pretty good deal. You know, you get the podcast 5 days early. You get it at a higher quality bit rate than the normal standard. You get your own private RSS feed, and something else that's really, really awesome. We recently started doing 25% off the Hard Work Always Wins merch store. That's right. Please don't tell my wife. Look, let's just keep it between me and you. Don't tell her, because she'll kill me if she knew that I was giving anybody 25% off. It's a great deal. So head over to patreon.com/Gary Cantrell. You can check it out. It starts at $4 a month. It's really easy. $4 a month. You can jump on anytime you like. You can jump off anytime you like. There's no like long-term obligation or anything like that. So, maybe you just try it around for a month, see how you like it. And if it's not for you, well, then you just move right along. It's totally fine. And then also, if you want your name shouted out at the beginning of the show, you want to be one of the podcast producers, that's $10 a month. So patreon.com/Gary Cantrell, best way to check out the show, in my opinion. Also, want to tell you about Apple Podcast. Most of you guys are listening to me right now on Apple Podcasts. So with that being said, with your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, whatever you got that's got Apple Podcasts, iTunes on it, leave a review, head over, tell people just, a couple sentences. What does the show do for you? Why should they check it out? Things like that. 5-star reviews. I know this sounds so silly. And people are like, oh my God, you talk about this every week. I'm telling you right now, it really helps out the show. Apple puts a lot of stock behind it. And honestly, you know what? Forget the Patreon, forget all that stuff. The best way that you can help out this show is by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. That's going to help out this show more than just about anything. So if you could do that for me, I think that would be awesome. And so with that being said, I'm going to throw it back to Gary and Michelle over at the Starbucks. I think they're going to do a pretty awesome podcast for you. So Gary, Michelle, back over to you.
Thanks, Editor Gary. I do appreciate that. And now we're back here. We're in Starbucks right now with Michelle. This is our very first meeting.
It is.
Is this your very first podcast?
It is my very first podcast, yeah.
So we've got a number of firsts going on here. This is awesome.
For sure.
Tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of, did you grow up in this area?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I was born here in, originally from New York, but I came here when I was 3 years old. So I always say that I was born here, but I've been here basically my whole entire life. I don't really remember much of New York, but this place is what I call home.
Are we talking like the city of New York?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Nice.
So in the Bay Ridge area. I don't know if you're familiar with New York.
I know very little about New York. I've been there a couple of times.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Let's see, 2019, I was up there for WrestleMania, was in MetLife.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of the shows that were not WrestleMania were in Brooklyn. So literally the only thing I know about Brooklyn is Barclays Center.
Okay, gotcha.
So like very little about New York.
Gotcha. No, it's funny. I'm gonna try to go to their concert. I missed tickets, but I don't know if you're into My Chemical Romance. That's how I know
Kidding?
Barclays.
I know about them, yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Like, hopefully I'll be able to find tickets because I literally was on the website for such a long time and then I couldn't end up getting tickets, which is a very depressing moment. But hopefully there'll be somebody to sell.
They're not coming here, are they?
No.
It's just New York.
New York and
Well,
Philly would be
right.
the closest.
Okay, so they're doing a tour. They're just not coming here.
Right.
I feel like this area gets the shaft. Are you a music fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so is that fair to say, like, sometimes it seems like a lot of artists, I mean, we do get our fair share of concerts, but it seems like sometimes we get shafted. Like, you look at a tour of somebody, and they're just not coming through.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, if they're not going to Capital One Arena, like, they come to Patriot Center, but I
Yeah.
mean, essentially it's almost just like, because we're considered a college town because Mason is so big here,
Right.
it's a little more,
There we go.
you know, it's a little harder.
Yeah. Let's see, My Chemical Romance, I remember them from the early 2000s. I was part of that whole, like, emo pop punk scene.
Oh yeah.
I played in bands in this area, and I never saw them live, but I had always heard about them.
Yeah.
I think my wife was actually a bigger fan of them than I was. I was more like Taking Back Sunday, Saves the Day, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of in the same vein, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's in that realm. It's
Yeah.
there.
What are you listening to now? Like, what's some of the stuff you're into now?
Breaking Benjamin.
Okay.
So I've never left, I guess, that emo phase. Like, the look kind of left, but I mean, necessarily, like, my actual taste in music, it's still, like, 3 Days Grace, Bowling for Soup. It's all of that. Because my dad, like, loved, like, Zeppelin, and that's how
Yeah.
I kind of introduced my love into, like, I guess if you want to call it now the era called pop punk and, like emo and all that other stuff, too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like for the longest time, I still had some of the look. And then finally, in the last year or two, I finally started to give it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, same here. It's like the side bangs, they were cute in 2007, but now that I'm in a, like, professional setting, that's not cute anymore.
Yeah, we all have to grow up at some point, I guess.
I mean, I wish we didn't, but, you know, we have to.
Yeah, what are you going to do? So is it fair to say that you like this area a lot? Are you a fan of it?
I do, yeah, I really do love this area. I mean, since I came here, it's been great. You know, I did all of my 3 schools, like my prep schools here. I actually attended Mason as well, so
Okay.
I have a deep love and appreciation for Virginia in general.
Yeah, I've always longed to leave the area, but only because of the traffic.
Yeah, 100%. I used to work in Pentagon City, and
Oh my
let me tell
God.
you, the 395 traffic while they were trying to, like, do all that construction was absolutely madness.
Yes,
So.
that I've only been to that mall, I would say, like maybe 10 or 15 times in my whole life.
Okay.
But I used to, my buddies and I, we'd stop there, like on the metro stop, like, because they had a station right below it.
Uh-huh.
And you could get off right there, because driving over there is a madness. And I remember, this is almost 3 years ago now, I used to do Uber and Lyft, and somebody wanted to get dropped off there. And just in that little area of driving in there, I was just like, I can't.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
can't do
especially
this.
that crossover between Seminary. Once you get to Seminary, it's like it doesn't matter what time of day it is. You will always be at a halt there, and it's like, why?
True story. How bad is your commute now?
So I work at Tyson's now. So right now it's very, I would say about 20 minutes. 495 is not as bad.
It's not
It's
terrible,
just
yeah.
a lot of slow drivers, but if you can maneuver your way through them, I mean, don't do that, but.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit less. My commute used to be an hour long, and now it's like only 30 minutes. So it's definitely cut for sure.
Yeah, my commute is north of an hour. I work in Sterling, and I live near Springfield.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that is a
gotcha.
hike.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And for people that are listening that are not local here, Tyson's is kind of like our biggest mall of the area. I would say it's like kind of like, when you think of shopping malls, it is like the premier shopping mall in the area. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're opening a third one, so.
What?
Yeah. So there's the original Tyson's
Yeah.
Galleria, which is like where Gucci, Louis Vuitton is, like all
The
you know.
fancy folks.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
then I guess they're opening a third one. I have no idea what's in store there, but
The
I just
hell are
heard
they going to
that.
put in there?
I have no idea.
How do you get more like fancier? Because I would imagine it's only going to go up from there. So like, how do you get more fancier than Tyson's 2?
I have no idea. I thought Tyson's 1 is like super fancy in my
Yes.
book. And then, yeah, so we'll see what's in store. I was in a meeting and they were just like, we're going to open a third one. I'm like, oh, why?
Yeah, I don't know that anybody ever literally asked for a third Tyson.
Legit though.
But you think about it though, like the amount of stuff that they're building just in that area, like with all the apartments, and I think they have like an apartment building that's like connected to the mall or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah, so there's like a lot of people there.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a very, very profitable mall, so it's understandable as to why they would open a third one. But I think it's just at this point, what are you gonna do there?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I'm like, if you're living in Tyson's, you got some money.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure.
Because I think those people for like a one bedroom are paying like north of $2,500, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a lot.
It's funny walking through the mall. You just see everybody with AirPods, and when I first started working in the Tyson's Mall, I only had like the earphones that attached to my phone.
Right.
And I was like, oh, maybe I should switch to some AirPods or something because feeling like a peasant over here.
Right here, I got a pair.
There you go. Yeah, I have mine linked into my purse now, and I'm like, all right, let me just pop these in.
They really make life a lot easier, I will say.
They really do.
I have a friend that he is like really picky when it comes to audio from phones. Like when I call him, if I was on like some crappy Bluetooth, he's like, "Yo, take me off of this. Like I can't deal with you right now."
Yeah.
I called him from a pair of AirPods, and he legit could not tell the difference. He thought I was just like talking with the phone to my ear.
Oh, wow.
And like that's how good the quality is, and
Yeah.
with the battery life, and how the music sounds. And I just got the Pros a couple weeks ago, and they are even like next level.
Oh, are they really? It's funny.
Yeah.
I was debating between them, but I was like, no, let me just go ahead and get the original ones.
Well, no, the originals are awesome.
Yeah,
I
for
still
sure.
have the old pair. The only thing I don't like about the originals, and what I'm sure ultimately is going to happen to the Pros, like anything, is the battery is slowly going to decay
Exactly.
worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it's like if there's like a new model out, it's like somehow weirdly your AirPods are not going to work anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I will say the next time you get a pair, get the $30 Apple Care because they will take care of you. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if anything happens to them, like you just take them in here and they just give you a new pair.
That's actually a really good thought for next time because I actually didn't do that this time.
Well, it just came out not too long ago.
Oh,
So
I
if
got
you-
mine during holiday.
Okay, I don't think that it was out at that time.
Oh,
yet.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So it's brand new.
Brand new, like so new that when I called these, I read a lot of the tech blogs, but like so new that when I called Apple, they had to like go through like a 10-step process just to like put it on my account.
Oh my goodness.
Like
okay.
they weren't even aware of what was going on.
They're just like, okay, let's just put all the system through.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me a little bit about growing up in the area. Like what was like kind of like your childhood like? What were some of your interests and things like that?
So growing up in the area, it's so I come from, my mom is Hispanic, my dad is Hispanic, obviously. So, well, I mean, not obviously to the podcasters, but yes, to you.
They'll look you up on Instagram and
yeah.
they can see. Yeah.
But so I had like a really great childhood, especially with my family. We, like I said, we started over in New York, worked our way over to Fairfax, and well, actually Woodbridge, and then my mom ended up falling in love with Fairfax, and I did all my school over here, and like hobby wise, like I've always loved volleyball.
Sure.
Volleyball has been something that I've always played with, including, I don't know if you know specifically FPYC,
No.
which is like, so Fairfax Police Youth Club. It's almost like a youth center,
Okay.
or if anything like that. So volleyball was like a really great love of mine. That's how I fell in love with it, and then just kind of ended up trickling over it into adulthood. I haven't played for 2 years now, but it's volleyball for sure is like something that
Oh,
is
it's awesome.
soothing. Yeah.
Do they have like pro volleyball leagues at all?
I think so, but right now I'm just trying to get acclimated to my new job. I right now want to like dedicate everything to my job.
Oh, sure. What, you don't have to say like where you work, but like what is the profession, like what is the industry that you're in?
I work in the beauty industry.
Okay. All right. Has that been a long time interest of yours or?
Yes and no. I've been in love with the beauty industry in general when I started working. So I used to work at Ulta, which is a makeup store, and then I don't work there now, obviously, but
Spent many a times in there with my wife. Yes.
oh my goodness, yeah, she can rack up a bill there, I'm sure.
100%.
But once I started part-time with my, because I was in college at the time, and I really fell in love with the artistry portion, and then little by little it started trickling into having a love for the business portion,
Right.
which to me it's very, very interesting, when like you have a certain goal and you have to achieve it, and then like how you get numbers from last year, compare them to this year, like the whole business aspect of it, I
Right.
ended up falling really in love with it, and like how we could essentially build the company even more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how like I ended up turning it into like a full-time career.
Wow.
You know, once I graduated college, I was like, you know, this is actually something that I truly want to do with my life and everything in general. And so I till this day have not looked back, but I don't think I ever will, because it's truly like rewarding. And not only that, but like I go to work and I don't want to leave work, and
Yeah.
that's how I'm like, oh, okay, so I do like what I'm doing right now.
That's when you know you're into something really good. Like I know when it comes to like podcasting, I can't imagine a time where I'm not. Even
Mm-hmm.
when it can be so stressful, and I've thought about quitting 100 times, but I
Yeah.
still at the end of the day cannot imagine not doing this.
Exactly.
You know, or even the editing part of podcasting or something
Exactly.
like that. But I guess in other words, for you, like, you know, young Michelle, she wasn't dreaming of, you know, working in the beauty world, or
No.
what did you want to do when you grew up?
I wanted to be a doctor, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was in school to become a doctor. I was pre-med for a little while, and then I just ended up falling in love with the whole business aspect of, you know, cosmetics and skincare and everything. So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of ended up, you know, basically maneuvering over from like one profession over to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now, what did I want to do when I grew up? Because I don't remember it being like crystal clear. I think for a long time I wanted to be like a pro wrestler. Like I watched a lot of WWE, WWF back in the day. And
Yeah.
I think I had like a big love for that. But beyond that, I don't remember. Like, because I feel like a lot of kids when they're growing up, they're like, oh, I clearly want to do this, or I clearly want to do that.
Oh,
And
no, I always wanted to be a doctor. I would like pretend, put like Band-Aids on things that were hurt, my dolls, everything. Everything had a Band-Aid in my house, including
Yeah.
the house itself had a Band-Aid on it. So, you know, I definitely did want to do that. But again, once you get older, your taste and everything
Right.
changes. So, you know.
So you're not even thinking about that at this point?
No.
Nothing.
No.
You don't even like go on like Halloween and dress up like a doctor or anything.
No, the closest I'll get to it was be like Grey's Anatomy. That's as close as
Just
I'll get to
watching it on TV.
Just watching it and enjoying it. That's it.
Right. Now I know, you know, kind of what brought us together. You had like a story to kind of share about, you know, losing a lot of weight. So where I kind of like to go with this early on is like when you look back to your childhood or even your teenage years, I guess where did it like truly begin for you, where you started to see this rise of weight?
I've actually always been a big girl.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was born normal size, but, you know, when I was 4, I remember I was like 80 pounds, I think, or
Okay.
90 pounds, which, you know, for a 4-year-old is definitely not the appropriate weight.
Right.
You know, and I was always active, but I was always just a big girl. And you know, my mom tried a lot to try to see what she could do. Like she tried cutting calories here and there, but like ultimately, like I was just, and that's like my mindset as well. Like I was always a big girl.
Right.
So.
And was that like something that was like a medical issue, or were you just overeating, or like
No,
what
I
was
was
it?
just overeating.
Even at like 4? And
Oh my God, I remember I used to sneak stuff from my mom too.
at 4.
At 4.
Wow.
At 4. Yeah, it was crazy because it's just like I remember like my mom would give me food.
Right.
And like she would go take a shower or something, and you know I was 4, you know I wasn't in school yet, or it was like after school, I'm sorry, and
Yeah.
like she went to go take a shower or something, and then like after she gave me food, I would go back into the fridge and like sneak in like
Right.
8 Go-Gurts, and you know
It just
that's-
adds up over time.
It just added up over time. I remember it's funny, like when I was in 5th grade, my mom used to like hide the sweets from me.
Yeah.
But I still ended up finding them, and I would actually hide them under her bed and like under like the duvet and everything. Like,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because my mom, when she would actually have cleaning days on Saturday, she would like just pull out all of these like wrappers of like candy and stuff like that,
Wow.
and like it was. Yeah.
What would she say to you when she found him? She knew it was you?
Obviously, yeah, because I mean, I only have one brother, and like he was in high school at the time,
okay, I
so
got you,
you know there was nobody else. But I would always just be like, I have no idea how they got there. What do you mean? Are you sure they're not yours, Mom?
Yeah. What way to throw it back on Mom. I love that.
Exactly. I was like, Mom, are you sure? Because I've seen you eat that.
Yeah, I feel like we've done that a lot when we were younger. Like, the parents, and they were smart to it, but like we would definitely try to throw it back a little bit, like,
Oh,
are you
absolutely.
sure it wasn't you? Like, why are you trying to say it was me?
Yeah, exactly. And my mom, I love her with all my heart, but I think there's only so much when you have an addiction, you have an addiction regardless. And
Yeah.
that's where it kind of like, for me, I think it stemmed a lot into like trying new things, and sweets ended up being like my number one thing, and that's how like I just ended up continuously eating, and then
Right.
that kind of trickled into like emotional eating, which then turned into binge eating. So
Oh yeah.
I have a pretty deep history when it comes to my relationship with food.
So sweets was kind of the gateway, and then everything else just kind of followed suit from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't until like I started working when like I was earning my own money and I could actually go out and get my own stuff,
Oh yeah.
That's when it kind of took an even bigger toll, because
Yeah.
it just went from like having McDonald's breakfast to then like a Wendy's lunch, and then like an Outback Steakhouse dinner,
Outback is good though.
Oh my God.
Not even gonna lie.
Blooming onions though, like, can we just talk
Yeah.
about those and appreciate those for like 2 seconds?
I still appreciate them for a time or two, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
So, and it just turned into like, into like my adulthood when I reached my highest weight. It
Yeah.
was crazy, because it was like every single morning it would be a Burger King breakfast, which already like I would over get what I wanted, and that was about 2,000 calories in its own.
Yes.
And then 3 hours later have a snack, and then like 2 hours later have my lunch, and then have like a really late but huge dinner.
Yeah.
And that's how everything kind of just started. And I know that I've tried everything in the book when it came to losing weight, anything that you can think of since I was in middle school, because since I was in middle school I've always known I was a bigger girl.
Yep.
But it never necessarily clicked in my head, the health portion. It just clicked in my head, the vanity portion.
Yes.
And that's when I started having like an even worse relationship with, myself, my
Yep.
body, and everything else. Because I was just like, well, screw it. I can't look like these people. So, I'm just going to eat my emotions and just basically drown myself in food, which unfortunately I did.
Yeah.
So,
I think I've shared this on the podcast before, but for people that are new, and I know obviously this is our first time talking, which is how a lot of stories end up getting repeated here and there. I'm trying to get better about that. But I remember one time I knew when it was like really bad was Taco Bell had just introduced breakfast.
oh my God.
And I went there. I would used to go to like, it was like a rotation, like McDonald's, maybe a Wawa, or any other place that had breakfast on my way to work.
Yeah.
And I remember Taco Bell started breakfast, and I literally went in the drive-thru and I said, I'll take one of every new breakfast item.
No way.
Everything.
No way.
Everything. And so
That's-
that's like each burrito, like they're like, do you want the variation of the different burritos? Like there's one that came with bacon sausage. Yes, I want
Yep.
all three. I want to try all of them.
Yep.
And that morning, I sat there and went through each and every item on that breakfast menu,
Yeah.
and I felt awful afterwards. But
Yeah.
here's the thing I think is very relevant. It's like a lot of times we are very aware of what we're doing, and we know even that it's not the best thing, but like we still
Absolutely.
will convince ourselves long enough until we do it, and then afterwards, then all of a sudden all the guilt and the anxiety rushes in,
Of course.
and we just feel terrible
Yeah, absolutely.
physically and mentally.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It definitely takes a toll on you, but I think just like, at least for me, it was just the addiction that just kept overwinning me. I guess if you want to say it that way. Like for me, I was like, I feel bad, but what's for dinner?
Yeah. Eventually it would just come out of your mind and you'd be thinking about what's for dinner.
Exactly.
What at this time or during this time, like what was your number one go-to thing? Like for me, it was always McDonald's. Like there would be like a couple of McDoubles, chicken nuggets, and a shake. That was my thing.
Oh,
the
yeah.
McDoubles had the mac sauce on. I love the mac sauce.
Right.
Did you have like one particular thing that was like a go-to surefire thing that like you would have multiple times in a week?
Oh my
or-
God, Chick-fil-A, for
Chick-fil-A.
sure.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, their chicken sandwiches. I still remember I'm currently a vegetarian.
Wow, okay.
So I went plant-based, but I don't, put that as like the preface to my weight loss, because it
Yeah.
definitely wasn't. It was just more of a moral change for me.
Okay.
But before, it was definitely like, I remember it was like 2 chicken sandwiches, 1 large and 1 small waffle fry,
Yep.
like 8 of the Chick-fil-A sauces, and for like I guess dessert or just like my drink would be like a large of the cookies and cream milkshake.
Yeah.
And that was like my constant lunch. And then, of course, they ended up having a breakfast.
Yes.
And the breakfast burrito and the little chicken minis, which were basically just chicken nuggets with like a biscuit.
Yes.
Like those, man, I remember I would get like 2 of like the 6-pack of those. So, you know, that was ultimately like my order every morning and every lunch. And then like dinner, like I said, ended up being, for some reason, I really like TGI Fridays and Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites.
I like both of those places.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say that Chick-fil-A sauce is absolutely deadly. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it'll bring you to your freaking knees, man.
It's so sad because you could drink it. It's that good. Like,
It's really
like,
that good.
It's amazing.
I found a place near my house that does chicken wings, boneless or bone-in. I'm a boneless chicken wing guy. For the record, for those listening, don't at me. But they actually have their own version of the Chick-fil-A sauce. They call it Liquid Gold. And so you can have these boneless wings in the simulated Chick-fil-A sauce, and it's absolutely amazing.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Because I was the kind of guy who always dip his wings in ranch, and I didn't even have to do that with these. I just ate them right as they were.
Oh wow, that's how you know that that's a good wing.
Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
So you are you're eating a lot at this point. You're kind of just gaining. And where's your head at? Through all this process.
My head's at I need to lose weight, but it's too hard.
Yeah.
I think that's where like my mentality is always like I do want to lose weight and I do want to be thinner, but again it just led to vanity. My thing was always vanity.
Yeah.
I always got like, especially in high school and middle school, like I got made fun of a lot, which of course ended up being very, very scarring.
Yeah.
And that caused for me to like continuously eat more, which is why I was like, it was more of a vanity thing than it was an actual, like, I need to get my health together because I want to be here for the long run, And at this point I had a 3-year-old nephew, a 4-year-old nephew.
Okay.
His name is Evan. And I was like, if I keep going the way that I'm going, I'm not going to see him graduate high school.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself that, but ultimately I was like, cool, but then what's for lunch?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it fell too much into me being like, I need to look skinnier instead of like, I need to be healthier. And then, obviously middle school and high school passed and, even though you move on, your scars, they heal, but within time. So I still always felt like the fat girl, and I always related to that, and even into my adulthood. I'm 26 now, but like when I started with Ulta, I was 20, or actually I was a little younger. I was 19, and like from there, like obviously it's the beauty industry that I kind of got thrown into. Well, the friends that I made and everything, they were all normal size, and they all had a perfect relationship with food. And they knew when to say no, and I never necessarily understood that. I mean, they're very supportive and they're very sweet people, and I will always love them. But it's, I guess, threw me off the ledge a little bit more, seeing how they have a good relationship with food.
Right,
and
the comparison trap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And then I think that's what triggered me even more to, eat more, obviously.
Yeah.
And then that's when the binging began. So the binging began, like, I want to say maybe 6 months into me actually working there. And then I was just like, it's fine. I'll be fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then the emotional eating began, which again led into the binge eating. And there was just one point in my life where I was just binge eating every single day. And then I was just like, it's fine. I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it was always, I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll start tomorrow. And then 3 years go by and I'm 324 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, so something does have to change. And
Right.
it can't be tomorrow. It has to be today.
Yeah.
Fast forward, this was last year. I was 25 years old. My nephews had just turned, my brother had more children. So I have twin nephews and then one nephew, Evan. The twins turned 3. And I remember we went to, I don't know if you know, in Burke, it's called not the children's place, I'm sorry. It's my gym.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a cool little kids interactive like play gym, but it's
Right.
indoors. And I remember just trying to catch up to them, and I couldn't do that. And it's the simple tasks of walking up the stairs or just essentially doing my job.
Yes.
You know, doing things that I'm supposed to do with my job that I couldn't do. And it was putting a strain on my ankles, putting a strain on my back. And I remember like I would make excuses to go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
but so I could just sit.
Right.
You know, it wasn't even because I needed to use the restroom at this point. It was just I had to sit down, and I didn't want to say I need to take a break because my weight is affecting me.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's when I kind of saw a little bit where it kind of took a toll. And that's when I decided to like really like truly make a change and say, okay, what I'm doing is not okay with myself, and I need to change for the better. And it's not just at this point vanity, it's
Yeah.
health. You know,
Right.
do I want to see, you know, everybody graduate high school? You know,
Yeah.
my nephew Evan and then the twins. I do want to see them graduate, and I do want to see them lead a nice life. And, you know, essentially I would like to start a family as well and, you know, get married and, you know, do the whole American dream, if you will.
Of course,
But
yeah.
I can't do that when I'm already having issues at 24, 25.
Yeah, which is
And-
extremely young. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about, and probably in your mind, you know, you're talking about, I want to be around for all this. You're thinking like, I'm not gonna be alive.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm
that's a lot to
fully
take in at that
convinced
age.
that I was going to die at like 30.
Yeah.
Fully convinced.
And going back to the comparison thing, when you talked about, you know, working with these people that had the good relationships with the food and they looked a certain way, like, I cannot state how much important the whole comparison trap thing is, and staying away from that. And I think it's easier said than done,
Absolutely.
obviously. But it's something that even if you're somebody that's listening, you're like, oh, that's very difficult for me. I want you to at least take this in, and that is, you got to at least consider it. You know, like, I'm not saying overnight you're going to change the way you think,
Absolutely.
but this needs to be a thought in your head, because when you compare yourself to others, and this happens in all aspects of life. This is not just health. This is business. This is, you know, anything you can imagine. I mean, I do a podcast. There's a ton of podcasters out there. If I compared myself to every one of them, I would go crazy. And I have. Honestly, I have.
Yeah.
And I've had mental breakdowns because I thought I wasn't good enough. When it comes to the weight stuff, I look at other dudes and I'm like, oh my God, man, this dude, look at him. He's shredded. He's crushing it. Like,
Right.
why isn't that me? And, you know, you can compare yourself to anybody, but at the end of the day, it comes back to you and
Right.
what you do with the
Exactly.
24 hours in a day that you have.
Exactly. And it's you having somebody else's journey is not what's going to make you unique. It's also you and your struggles, that how have you overcome that, and truly the maturity that you put into it, essentially. That was really going to help you just succeed in general.
Yeah.
And also having that sense of self-love. Still currently working on that, obviously, because I still have, 60 pounds to lose. But within this journey, it's also learning how to love yourself and doing it because you love yourself, not because, again, the whole vanity situation. You have to
Yes.
do it for you. And essentially that's why I wanted to go on to this podcast and really tell people it's possible, but it is possible if you start seeing it more as a health thing as opposed to a vanity thing.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. I've talked a lot about the love yourself part. It's one of the 4 pillars that I speak of: the patience, consistency, hard work, and love yourself. And I know people have heard me say this 1,000 times, but if you don't love yourself, it's game over.
Absolutely.
Cancel Christmas, cancel everything.
Exactly.
You're not going to go any farther. And you don't develop this habit of loving yourself overnight. But it takes a lot of time.
Oh, for sure.
But you got to be on that path even if you're slow walking, you got to walk in that direction, because if you don't,
Absolutely.
you cannot. If you can't get this up here straight, you cannot go any further.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I've started a journey and I wasn't ready up here, and it just went
Absolutely.
out the window.
It's very easy to give it up if you're not fully loving yourself in there,
Yeah,
for sure.
you have to.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the true preface of it, is loving yourself enough to know that what you're doing is self-sabotage, and it's really just trying to overcome it and
Right.
how to move forward from it, basically. Not looking too much into the past, but just focusing on how you can move forward.
Definitely. Something else I want to discuss here that you mentioned earlier, because I know a lot of times when I speak of this, it's from the male perspective. So you can obviously offer up the female perspective, but
Of course.
you talk about getting up to like 320 pounds. What was your average day like in terms of, just getting out of bed, just moving? Like, I would imagine you probably felt some pain and things
Yeah.
like that. Tell me about kind of like a general day for you at 320. What does that look like?
So I would obviously get up, and so it would actually take a little bit of time. I would have to lay in bed and kind of prepare myself.
Yeah.
It took about 5 to 10 minutes for me to prepare myself before I actually like stood on the floor because
Yeah.
my ankles were always in pain. And even like if I had a very extensive work shift, which was usually 8 hours,
Right.
if, for example, like I was doing somebody's makeup and that took 2 hours to do and I had to stand and then, go to the register and do a whole bunch of other stuff that I couldn't excuse myself to go to the bathroom or sit
Yeah.
down and take a break, my ankles would feel that in the morning.
I would
So
imagine.
it was just, preparing myself. And then like once I stood up, I remember I would literally have to limp to the bathroom in the morning. And then just going down the stairs, I would have to go down the stairs one by one, just to,
You get out of breath doing the stairs?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, going up
Same.
the stairs. Going down the stairs, it wasn't bad, but I think it was just more like it just hurt because it was the impact,
Yes.
It almost felt like as if I was jumping down like 4 stairs, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I had to go like one by one down the stairs.
Right.
And my house has 13 stairs, which at the time was like hell.
Yeah, I can
Absolute
imagine.
hell. So it's funny, I even like disguised it and told my mom, I was like, if I could have the downstairs rooms, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
her excuse was like, no, you'll be upstairs. And I'm like, okay. But like, I didn't want to tell her why, but like, that's truly why. It was just, the stairs were, like I said, hell for me.
Sure.
Then it would just be like, getting, like if it was my day off, it'd be getting into my car and again, going into, like getting my
Chick-fil-A.
breakfast, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Burger
Exactly.
King, one of those places.
Exactly. Chick-fil-A, go to my room, watch Netflix, eat my food, and don't go down until lunchtime because I didn't want to do anything active, specifically because my ankles hurt.
Yeah.
It was truly like it was almost like a bedridden life that I lived for a couple of years because just everything hurt.
yeah.
Absolutely everything hurt. My back hurt, everything hurt. So I just wanted to go get my food, come back home, eat it, lay down,
Right.
and watch Netflix. So
Do you have any like long-term effects from this time? Like, do you still live in any pain at all?
no, actually.
Wow.
Now that I'm 120 pounds down, I don't feel a lot of pain. I sometimes feel like a crack in my knee, but I think that's just more or less I need calcium than anything
Yeah.
else. But I don't feel pain as I did before.
And
Definitely not.
One more time, how many pounds down did you say?
120.
That deserves a fist bump.
Thanks, man.
Love it.
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely not an easy road.
Yeah.
I remember I would cry myself to sleep because of the sensation of wanting to like binge or,
Yes.
just the sensation of eating. Because I think that's part of it. It's
Yeah.
like the sensation of chewing something is, it's like desirable almost,
Especially if
when
you're bored,
addicted.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would just cry myself to sleep because I would be like, I really want Taco Bell right now.
Yeah.
But like obviously right now I can't have it.
Yeah.
Until like I'm like stable and have like a healthy relationship with myself and food that I know I'll be able to have it. But the first 50 pounds were the absolute roughest.
Yeah.
Like I really did, like I had to isolate myself for a little bit because I just feel like I entered into a slight depressive stage, but I know ultimately my eyes were on the prize at that point.
No,
So
it's
I knew
awesome
that
to
I had
hear.
to like really buckle down and get it together. Like I knew I wasn't hungry. It
Yeah.
was just the craving. I think the craving was the total killer. That was like, I need to do something to entertain myself because if not, then I'm going to go into that binging path again.
Yeah. I asked about kind of long-standing like health issues because I know even to this day I still have like terrible knees. So I'm going to use this opportunity to tell everybody, as you're on your journey, check in with your doctor regularly.
Oh, yeah.
Get checkups. I'm telling myself too, because I need to do more of that. But, just check on yourself and see where you're at, because, yeah, my knees are pretty much shot. I mean, they're not like in pain necessarily, but if I go on any like races, like 5Ks,
Yeah.
after I'm done with that, they are just like I'm out for like a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's only when I'm doing like super heavy activity. I mean, my
Exactly.
day-to-day gym stuff, it's a lot easier. Like my doctor's like, oh, you should go do like the elliptical and stuff like that for your knees. Like, try to stay away from like the treadmills and the Stairmasters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I find like going outside and doing like the paths and stuff at the different parks, that is also kind of like low impact on
Of
my
course.
knees, which I like a lot. So, yeah, I just wanted to tell people, like, just go check your body out. Like, make
And
sure
don't
it's okay.
go full ham. You're going to want
No.
to at
Yeah.
the gym, or in general, you're going to want to, but you're going to end up doing more damage than good for yourself. I remember when I was first started, I lost the first 50 pounds first.
Yes.
And then that's when I was like, okay, I think I can handle being a little bit more active.
Yeah.
And then that's when I pushed myself with running. And I know that I did something to my knee, because I remember I was clicking and limping, but I didn't want to go to the doctor to be like, oh, this happened.
Yep.
So it was bad. So again, check in with your doctor, but also take it easy at the gym, especially
Yes,
when you're first
please.
starting. If you've never run in your life, don't start. Start
Yeah.
with walking and then progressively go into the running.
Lots of walking.
A lot, for sure.
That's kind of where I wanted to go next is, the transition from kind of like old Michelle to where we're at now. And so when you're just getting started, like the day before you decide I'm going to start, like, do you have like a farewell meal or anything like that? Do you have like a...
I've had multiple farewell meals.
Have
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What was your last old Michelle meal?
I think my last Old Michelle meal, it was Denny's.
Okay.
It was Denny's. I was just I'm craving pancakes. Again, I'm a sweets person. So
Yes.
I was like, if I'm going to have something, I'm going to have something sweet.
If I'm going out, I'm going out with a bang.
Exactly. So chocolate chip pancakes at Denny's with the banana and the whipped cream and
Yeah.
the egg, the bacon, and everything else.
Of
I'm
course,
pretty
yeah,
sure that was
everything.
a 1,500 calorie meal. But I was like, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. Tomorrow we're on this new thing.
Exactly. But then it's so funny because when I finished this meal, I was like, okay, that's it. We're done. No more. And then the next morning I was like, I really want Chick-fil-A. And that's when that's when the cycle started. But then that's when I was like, no, Michelle, you're better than this. And you have to love yourself enough to change.
Yes.
And then that's when the little progression started to now Michelle, where I don't want to say I'm fully healed with food. I still
Yeah.
do have my struggles and I still do have a craving.
Same here.
Right? I can destroy a bag of Takis real quick.
Yeah.
But I also know my limits as to when I'm officially full and when I'm
Yes.
officially bored. So,
Yeah.
a couple chips here and there, that's okay. But it's also that's, you can't eat the whole bag just because you bought it,
Yeah.
It's understanding that, all right, I've had enough and that's enough.
Yeah. What since we're on the topic of food, when you set out to start, what did we obviously know about what your old meals look like, probably 3,000 calories plus a day, but
Oh my God, yeah.
when you're first starting out, what are the parameters you set? Because I feel like a lot of people, they immediately throw on hundreds of restrictions. I'm not allowed to have X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Which ends up backfiring almost every time.
Yep.
Please don't do that.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Start.
Were you guilty of that, by the way?
I'm so guilty of
Okay.
that. I'm very surprised that I ended up sticking with it because I restricted myself to 1,000 calories a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little low, in my opinion. But
No, it's incredibly low.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
now,
yeah.
I'm just I don't know how I survived
Yeah.
because it was very, very low at my stature as a person that was eating 6,000-7,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
To cut, 5,000 or 6,000 of that was very severe.
Sure.
So, over restricting definitely made me want to binge even more, I think, and cause those cravings. And I remember it got into one point where I would eat in my opinion, back then, it was very good.
Right.
But I would eat only my 1,000 calories a day. And then, like, I remember Saturday was, like, my binging day. That's when I was like, okay, cool. That's going to be, like, I would call it my cheat day, but it was, ideally, like, it was a binging day, you know? So
I was guilty of that too.
yeah, and then it's almost like it just destroyed everything that I was working for, you know? So, like, yes, I was still losing weight because I was at a very, very low caloric deficit, but ultimately it was like semi-reversing the process that I was doing, because then on Saturday I would eat heavy sodium-filled, heavy sugar-filled food, and then the next day it would be like, oh, now I'm 6 pounds up.
Yep.
You know, granted it was the bloating and everything, but it was still, you know, it's still messed with me.
Of course, yeah.
For sure. So, it started really badly, but I think it was just more or less, I just was not aware as to, like, what I needed to eat, the nutritional value of something, and, you know, moving forward with that. But little by little, it's just taking those changes. And when I got more active, it took even more of a toll because I was constantly hungry.
Yeah, you needed more.
Exactly.
What is a day of food at 1,000 calories? What does that look like?
3 egg whites, a cup of spinach, and 1 slice of toast, and it was a 40-calorie, low-calorie toast.
Yep.
That was breakfast. No lunch until like 5 p.m. when I had like kava, and I would like track specifically exactly the calories they were. So like if I was eating something, like for example, if I was at work and I didn't have time to pack a lunch, it would be like something semi-healthy, like I said, kava, or if it was Chipotle, I would track the calories. And it's so funny, I would remember I would like tell them don't overspoon it, and if like I felt like they overspooned like my tofu or something like that, I would make them take it out of my bowl.
Wow.
I was very, very, very strict with that, and that's obviously not a good thing, you know.
Chipotle is life, by the way. I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure. That burrito, oh my god, love it, and the chips. But
and what were you using? Were you using like MyFitnessPal to track, or
I was using the Lose It app.
Lose It? Okay, yeah, I've heard
and
of
I
that.
still use it just because it helps me kind of like, you know, not strain away from my diet, but I also set myself to a calorie that now I feel satisfied with.
Yeah.
You know, so like because I'm a lot more active than I was before, I can definitely get, you know, 2,500 calories. Or,
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm like working out really hard, like I do work out twice a day sometimes if I can when I'm not working. So I'll do Zumba, and then I'll go to the gym, and then if I can, sneak in a hike. We were talking earlier about going to Burke Lake.
Yeah.
I run there all the time. So
Nice.
I try to stay as active as possible. So like, you know, the 2,500 calories, it fits into my diet. But when I'm obviously not working out vigorously or intensively, that's when obviously you monotone it, and then you just take it down a little bit. And it's more like a 1,800 calorie meal, which, not meal, I'm sorry, 1,800 calorie day, which is okay because it's satisfying. So
Now, when you were first starting out, though, you weren't running around the lake and all that.
Oh, no.
Exercise-wise, you know, when you're thinking about starting, what did that look like? Were you going to like a gym? Were you working out at home? Like, what was your first starting days looking like?
So my first starting days were working out in my garage because I was too embarrassed to go outside, because I was thinking that, I guess I'm so egocentric or egotistical that I'm like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. And that really wasn't the case. Nobody really cared. But, you know, I was too embarrassed to go outside. So I just started little by little incorporating a couple moves. I would dance, or, you know, my brother had like a treadmill in the garage. So I would just lightly walk on that. And then it kind of turned into like when I lost like the first 15 pounds, that's when I started getting a little bit more confident.
Yeah.
And that's when it kind of trickled over to outside. And then, you know, I started walking in Burke Lake, and I would do like 0.6 miles, go back to my car. The next week, 0.8 miles.
Yeah.
And then walking and walking and walking little by little until... I want to say about 60 or 70 pounds, where that's when I started light jogging and working my way over to running. But it all started with walking.
Is running a big interest of yours?
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could do cardio all day. It's funny, I don't like lifting.
Really?
I hate lifting.
It bores me, honestly.
Lifting?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love cardio because you don't have to think about it. Like,
Yeah.
and I always joke with my friends. I'm like, listen, I'm already bad at math, and I have to count these reps and all this other stuff. Like, I don't have time for that. No, I love the running because you don't have to think about it,
Yeah.
except thinking about not falling, obviously. But
Sure.
you know, because I like to run in like high velocities. Like when I run on the treadmill, you know how it goes from like 1 to like 12.
Yeah.
I like to run at a 9.
Wow.
So
Okay.
when I run fast. You know, so it's
Safe to say we won't go running together. I don't think I can hang with you. My knees will not take that. If you want
Yeah.
to walk, I'm good with it, by the way.
please start walking and
Yes.
then work your way.
Yeah.
But I'm just naturally also very energetic, and I
Yeah.
needed something to also kind of like kill that energy that I had as well. But I've always been like super energetic, and I've always had a lot of energy inside of me. So, you know, the weight definitely did kind of like put an emotional toll for sure. Especially because I was so energetic, and I always did want to do stuff after work and everything like that. It almost felt like I was like in a prison in my own body.
Yeah.
So that definitely triggered me to like really change, and that's kind of what boosted my confidence to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start running now outside, and if anybody judges me, it's not on me, it's on them.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's when I kind of just started being like, I really don't care. Let me just go ahead and do what I want to do. And I really do enjoy the views, so I prefer running outside. But
Yeah.
I do obviously do the gym as well. But it all started outside in Burke Lake, actually. Literally
Yeah.
just walking in
It's an
Burke
awesome
Lake.
place.
It's so great. And then like once you reach the scenic view, it's like, ugh, beautiful.
Yeah. I will tell people, I was telling you earlier, I'm going to make sure I have the name of this app right real quick. But it should be called All Trails. So look that up, everybody. If you're the type that likes to go outside, it will basically use GPS, and it will tell you all of the parks and different trails in your area. Like we have like Lake Accotink and Burke Lake and Huntley Meadows, all these different places, and it'll show you the trail, and you can follow it around, you can track it with your phone and all that stuff. It's
Yeah, I
it's
definitely
really
have
good.
to download that because I just use the old Google machine and
Yeah.
just go from there.
I will tell you the closest I ever got to like running was like interval type stuff. Like that was the only way I could do it. I never could do it for like a sustained amount of time. So what I would do is I'd get on the treadmill and I'd like start out at like a 3.5 or a 4, like, you know, light jog.
Exactly.
And then when I started to feel comfortable, get the breathing in check, which is something I still have a problem with.
Oh, same.
When it comes to the higher end stuff. But then I'd like crank it up to like 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And go for like maybe a minute if I'm lucky, and then back it down. I love, if I'm gonna do interval stuff, I love to like beat the hell out of my body for like
Yeah.
a minute and bring it down, get the heart rate up.
Yeah.
And one thing I found, I don't think I've shared this on the podcast, so I have to. We talk about the elliptical. I have to do that now.
Right.
What I will do is on the elliptical, you can adjust the kind of the what do they call that? The not the intensity, but like the resistance, I guess. And so I will turn it up to like a 20, which is incredibly difficult, and I'll go hard for like 5 minutes or so, and then I'll back it off to like 15. Let my heart rate come down. I track it on my Apple Watch, and I let it come down, and then I just hulk it right back up like 5 minutes later. It's like 5 on, 5 off, 5 on, 5 off. Eventually, I got to the point where I could do like 7 or 8 on and then 2 off, just to kind of keep the heart rate up. So I'm with you. Like that's what my long way of trying to say is that I'm into the cardio as well.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love
Well,
it.
that's awesome because it enhances the longevity. Like it keeps you
Yeah.
going because you know you slow down for a little bit, but then you like go back up, go down, go up. That's a really really awesome way to like do your cardio as well for sure.
I just think about like going on those stairs, like the one flight of stairs at my apartment, how it used to damn near kill me every time. My wife was like,
Oh, yeah.
do I need to call the ambulance? Like, are you going to
Yeah.
be okay? And I'm like, just give me 1 second. And I would just be like completely out of it.
Oh yeah.
But now that is not a problem.
Yeah, I remember my biggest achievement at the time. I was 260, and I don't know if you. So again, I love hiking. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Natural Bridge. It's like 4 hours away from here.
I've heard of it, but I've never been there.
Super close to like Glasgow. So if you're like in that area, you'll know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
it's so you have to go all the way down the stairs, and then it's about a mile to a mile and a half of just walking.
Wow.
And then you see like the really beautiful scenic view, and then you also see like that's why it's called Natural Bridge. It's because it's an actual natural bridge format out of a rock that, you know, just used to be like a big rock. But my biggest accomplishment, like, you know, at 260 was like actually completing that walk.
That's
without getting
awesome.
fully tired. And then
Yeah.
like at the end you saw like this beautiful waterfall. I was like, yep, I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, like that was a really, really big accomplishment for sure. And I'm sure, like you said, with the whole stair situation, like
Yeah.
you start noticing little things, you know, like going up the stairs aren't as difficult anymore. You don't lose breath going up and down the stairs.
Right.
And then it's having like a little bit of more energy to continuously keep going. Like after work, I am definitely not sitting super, super tired. I'm like, I have a lot of energy and I kind of want to go to the gym right
Yeah.
now. Or let me do something so I can just burn this energy off right now. You
No,
know?
it's totally fair. One of the things I will say, it seems like, and I don't know if you got this, but like a lot of people I've talked to, when you lose a big amount of weight, suddenly you gain back like all this like confidence and the willingness to try new things. Did that happen a lot for you, where you just like, I just feel like I'm on such a high, like I feel like I could do anything, I feel super confident? Like, what was that like for you?
At first, I definitely felt like that, but
Yeah.
I think little by little, my confidence has in doing things. I'm just like, oh, for sure, hands down, let's do it. You want to go skydiving? I'm so down. But when it comes to like, I think trying on like clothes, for example,
Yes.
like and stuff like that, it's almost like trading one insecurity for the other. Like at first,
Right.
I was like too big to fit into something, but now my loose skin is definitely something that I'm struggling with right now.
Sure.
But for sure, I prefer the loose skin over, you know, the obesity, 100%.
Definitely.
So,
And that's kind of where I wanted to go too. Like, you know, do you have a lot of fears that are kind of, you know, that you feel like you could accomplish or you could overcome? Like you mentioned the skydiving kind of thing. Do you have things like that where before you're like, oh, no way.
oh yeah.
And now you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I could do this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like
what
the
are
whole
some of your fears?
So the skydiving, actually, believe it or not, like that for me, I was just like, I know I'm not going to be able to fit in it. Like I'm not going to be able to actually do it. And
Yeah.
this summer, I'm actually going to go ahead and actually overcome that fear.
Yes.
And understand that I can actually do it. Roller coasters. So I love King's Dominion.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So like my ultimate fear was just never fitting in the seat.
Yes.
Like I dreaded that, and I actually didn't go to an amusement. Last year was the first time, I want to say in like 5 years, that I went to an amusement park.
Yes.
Yeah, so like I was like, I'm not gonna fit in the seat. I'm not gonna fit in the seat. And then like when you finally sat down, like it's like you're like on cloud 9 because
Yes.
it's like, oh, wait, what? This is awesome. You know?
Yeah.
So that for me was definitely like a total confidence booster, because I'm just like, okay, we can finish this. We can finish
Yeah.
the journey. We can finish the race. But little by little, you'll start doing things that you love. And I'm, like I told you, an adrenaline junkie. So like
Yeah.
anything that has to do with like, you know, pushing yourself to the limit, I absolutely love doing. So skydiving for sure, parasailing for sure. I really do want to do. And I think now, because I have like the weight lost,
Yep.
A, you know, my body can take it, and B,
Definitely.
it's now not an issue if I fit or not, you know?
Yep.
And just like the same, like, you know, taking my nephews to the trampoline park.
I love the trampoline park.
Yeah, it was an ultimate high for me, because I was like, I can actually do this without getting tired or having a fear that, you know, my ankles are going to give out on me.
Do they have one over here somewhere?
No, they have one in Sterling. It's Rebounders.
Sterling. Okay. I work out in Sterling, so I need to go check that out.
It's a really nice place. It's like a full like it's almost like a warehouse, but
Yeah.
it's all trampolines.
Because there's one in Springfield. There's a Flight trampoline park over in Springfield.
You know, I haven't checked that one out yet.
Okay,
but yeah.
that one I live probably 8 minutes away from.
Okay, gotcha,
And
gotcha.
so that would be the one that I normally would go to, but I'm always down to check out different ones. So
yeah, so check out Rebounders. Actually, that's a pretty cool place to go to.
I will check that out. And you mentioned the roller coasters. Have you done Busch Gardens yet?
Not since my drastic weight loss. No, I went. The last time I went was like my sophomore year in high school, but I was like, you know, I think I was at this point like where I am right
Yeah.
now when I was a sophomore in high school. So I mean, I did enjoy the ride, so I'm
They got
very
a lot of
excited
new
this
stuff
year.
over there now.
Do they really? The
Yeah.
Griffin was like a really big thing when I was there.
I love Griffin.
Really, yeah,
Yes.
the whole like up and down. I love that. Or Apollo's Chariot.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite. And then there's Verbolten, which is really fun.
Oh, I haven't done. No,
That
haven't
took
done that one.
over. That took over the Big Bad Wolf. That area.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, the last time I was there, the Big Bad Wolf was still there.
And they have a new one that's coming out this year called Pantheon.
Pantheon.
Yeah, so it's gonna be really
Ah.
awesome.
Well, then I'm definitely gonna check it out for sure.
I signed up for a membership to there. So my buddy and I, we always go. My wife, she's terrified of the roller coaster. She
Oh,
hates
really?
them. But my friend, he's like me, loves a roller coaster. So he and I, like a couple times a year, we'll travel to different parks around, the kind of the East region. This past year, 2019, we went to Cedar Point, which is in Ohio, which is like the most famous amusement park in the whole country. It has
Yeah.
like 15 roller coasters.
Well, they own King's Dominion now.
They own King's Dominion now.
Yeah.
And then we went to another park, a sister park of them, Carowinds in North Carolina.
Okay.
And they have some, you want to talk about thrill seeking? They have
Really?
Fury 325, which is one of those B&M clamshell rides, which is a lot like Apollo.
Yeah.
Which I always like. And even, I've lost over 100 pounds and I'm still kind of a bigger guy. And so, like, I love the B&M clamshells because it's literally that one little, like, piece that comes down in your waist and you have one seatbelt and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have all this and,
Right,
I'm
right.
pointing at my shoulders. And it's really comfortable, but they have one in Carowinds is 325 feet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then they have another one, which is their version of the Intimidator. It only goes like 250 feet, but I almost argue it's better than the one here.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
You don't
Well,
you don't black out on that one.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh, I remember when you go down and then like you go back up and you see like white like dots all over and you're like, oh okay, wait, did I just black out a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can get to Cedar Point, though, if you like Twisted Timbers, you got to try Steel Vengeance. It's like Twisted Timbers, like older brother, bigger, badder. Like it's huge.
Really?
It's like 100 feet taller than Twisted Timbers,
Oh my gosh.
and
Well,
it's like
yeah.
another minute longer.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
The one thing I do have to say though, I cannot do wooden roller coasters anymore. They hurt my head like nobody's business.
Well, this one it's so smooth. Does Twisted Timbers bother you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Steel Vengeance is probably going to do the same thing. Honestly.
That new one that they just brought out, it was like the Apple one. I forgot what
Yeah.
it's called. Oh man, that hurt my head so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even though they're like steel rods that are like connecting the roller coaster, I was like, yeah, no, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll stick with like Anaconda. Anaconda all day, every day.
You like Anaconda?
I love Anaconda.
I always thought that was my buddy and I would call them headbangers.
Really?
It would always mess with our heads. Yeah.
No, that one and then the Dominator.
Yeah.
Dominator was actually my first roller coaster, so
I do
have
like
special
Dominator.
love for that one.
Yeah, I do like Dominator. That's actually, a lot of people don't know this. That is the same roller coaster that was in the movie Richie Rich.
No way.
Yeah, the one that was in his backyard.
Yeah.
That was the same coaster.
What?
Yeah.
See, even I'm learning new things here.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yeah. I
That-
remember the stand-up one. I don't know if you remember the Shockwave.
Yes.
That one was my favorite too.
Have you been up to Six Flags in New Jersey yet? Mm-mm. Okay. So you say you're an adrenaline junkie. Mm-hmm. They have one over there. It's called the King Dakar. And you go from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. And you go straight up a 450-foot hill and then straight down.
Oh my gosh.
It is
Well, yeah, I
amazing.
have heard of the King Dakar actually, but I've just never actually gone there.
Yeah. It's amazing. Actually, that park has a great portfolio of different rides.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a Superman flyer, the one where you're face down flying. They have the King Dakar. They have the Joker's, whatever the hell that thing is, where like the seats
Like
are flipping.
it's almost like the Riddler version of the
Yeah.
Joker, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
the
exactly
seats
what
are
you're talking about.
flipping while
Yep.
the car's just going up and down and all
Yeah.
that. So that park, if you can get over there and then Cedar Point, those are the two. Like as an adrenaline junkie, you're going to get the ultimate high from those
Love
parks.
it. Perfect.
Yeah. So I want to say, first of all, I really appreciate the time. Would you believe we've already gone an hour? I know it sounds crazy.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. So one of the ways that I like to kind of wrap these things up is first that we'll talk about kind of what kind of goals you have for the next couple of years, where you see yourself and then we'll close out with Instagram, because that's what brings us together, what brings a lot of people together. But first, let's talk about kind of like in the next couple of years, what are some of the goals? What's some of the things that you're working on? I know you mentioned that you'd like to lose another 60.
Yeah.
But maybe in addition to that, what are some of the stuff that you're working on?
So I would definitely like to just increase my platform in general when it comes to binge eating, because that was a very, very big thing for me, and that's truly why I wanted to come onto the podcast is to talk about it and like how you can truly overcome binging.
Yes,
you know,
you are living proof.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how severe you have it. It's just having the willingness and the willpower, and even the support, you know, to really, really drive you there. So I want to have some type of support system going on, whether it's via social media or, you know, just like a regular, like starting here in the Northern Virginia area where it's like a once a month meetup for girls just to check in on them, or, you know, anybody who's going through a rough situation, you know, because I definitely would have to say, obviously my mom and dad, they were always there to support and love me no matter what. And they always came from a place of love. But, you know, if it wasn't for them, but specifically my friends, like, you know, my best friend Angie, my best friend Alina, Janae and Carrie, like they were always 100% there for me, and they were always there to support me no matter what.
Right.
And if you don't have a good support system with you, you're not going to succeed as well as you would without having people back you up and every single day texting you, being like, I'm just checking in on you. How are you doing? I love and support you. Keep grinding. You know, my best friend Angie and Alina were always there for me. So, you know, want to create some type of like support system for people who have gone through it, and hopefully get a promotion at work, but we'll see how that goes.
There you go. You probably want to think about maybe starting up like a Facebook group or something. That's a good way to get, and you can seek out people from the area and bring them in there.
For sure.
Instagram is another good way, but I feel like a lot of people, sometimes it's hard to find people there that are like local, because not everybody uses the location tags.
Right.
It's super easy to find just people in general. But when it comes to like finding local people, that's like the one biggest thing. Like everybody that I know from Instagram like lives somewhere else. Like I know maybe 5 or 6 people that live here. And so I wish that I knew more people that were local as opposed to living far away. Not that I don't love and appreciate those people. I do, but the more local people, the better.
For sure. Well, that's actually how I found you. It's actually by Heather from the Bariatric Babe.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I follow her and I absolutely love her content. And then when she was like, I'm going to be on Gary Cantrell's podcast, I was like, who is this?
So that's how you found me.
Yeah,
okay.
And then I was just like, wait, what? He's
Thank
in the
you,
Northern
Heather.
Virginia area? Dude, hell yeah.
That is awesome.
I was like, I have to meet him because like I've told you before, it's you like preach losing weight in a healthy way, and like if you have a setback, it's a setback. It's not going to affect your future. And I really resonated with that because, like, you know, we've been talking about I did it the unhealthy way, and I want people to not do it the unhealthy way, because ultimately it leads to a lot of, you know, bad things, like health wise and everything else in general. So, you know, that's how I wanted to get in contact with you and just like thank you, because like truly like that has helped me not only keep going with my weight loss journey, but understand that I can't lose 5 pounds in a day, because I didn't gain 5 pounds in a day. Yeah. So I'm not going to lose it in a day either.
No, I appreciate that. I understand that the message that I talk about on here is not necessarily, for lack of a better term, the sexy kind of thing to talk about, because in the fitness and health and fitness industry, it's all about instant gratification, quick, now, buy this pill, buy this wrap, buy this shake. Like it's all built upon being in a hurry. And I am like the opposite. Like in a way, I actually did a podcast for people that are listening to this at the end of April. This is a podcast I did way back in February, but it's like a couple weeks ago for you and I right now. But I talked about how I gained 30 pounds back over the course of the last 2 years, because I had had a lot of different mental setbacks and things going on. But in a sense, I'm almost kind of happy about that, because it just shows people like this is stuff that can happen. Like if you think that you're going to go into a journey and it's just going to be a straight line
Oh,
down.
definitely not.
That ain't happening.
For
It's going to look a
sure.
little bit more
Absolutely.
like this.
Absolutely. I
And-
can tell you how many, like, I've gained 10 pounds, then lost the 10 pounds, but then gained 20 and then lost 20 again.
Bingo.
Like, it's an up and down hill for you, especially if you have, like, you know, life unexpectancies.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it's going to happen. I mean, that's kind of what I dealt with a lot towards the end of the year, and even in the last couple of weeks, I've kind of had some mental struggles, and so it kind of set me back a little bit. But I'm still like knowing that, you know, the eye is still on the prize.
Exactly.
It's just that I'm kind of driving at a slower speed limit right now
For
than
sure.
driving the normal speed. I'm almost impeding traffic a little bit, to use the car analogy, but that's okay. Like, once in a while, these things are going to happen, and as long as you just don't fully quit and stop, there's nothing wrong with, you know, whatever happens. You just keep kind of going at whatever speed you can, but you just keep going.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
395 is always going to be 395, but you're going to get to your destination eventually.
I love that. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I don't know how we can get any better than that. That was a perfect way to end that right there. So I want to just say again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And because we were brought together through Instagram, and that's where a lot of people listening are coming to this podcast for. So tell the people where they can find you and anything else you want to plug while you're here.
Yeah, for sure. So my Instagram handle is Gyptian Beauty, Gyptian_beauty, sorry.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess the one thing that I want to leave this off with is just when you're, you know, losing your weight, do it at a healthy way, and just know that, you know, I'm sorry, I can't talk. Words are hard right now.
You're fine.
A former, you know, binge eater who
Yeah.
was very, very, like, always into emotional eating, can do it. So can you. But just always remember, it always starts with self-love. If you
Yes.
don't love yourself, you're not going to go far.
No, I love
So-
that. I love it. Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll end on a fist bump.
Yep. Boom.
There you go. So everybody go check her out on Instagram. I'll leave it in the show notes. I want to say below, but that's a YouTube thing where they're like, hey, comment below or check the comment, whatever. I can't speak either. But thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Michelle, for coming on.
Thank
And
you.
stay tuned for the next podcast, whenever the heck that is. Oh, wait, that's right. It'll be next Wednesday. So stay tuned. Come back. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for the support. And I'll talk to you again really soon.